everyone. Welcome to my show, Career Startup Podcast, a podcast to spotlight Asian leaders and interesting allies that I meet in my life. This is your host, Priyanka Komala. Today, we have with us a very special and a fabulous guest from Tokyo, Kohei Kurihara. Hi, Kohei. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for the inviting. It's a very great opportunity with me to have a talk with you this time.
Thank you, Kohei. So, a little bit about Kohei, who comes from Tokyo. He's the founder of Privacy by Design Lab. He's a data privacy expert and has several experiences at blockchain spaces and leading local communities worldwide. At Collaborate, he leads the marketing team to enhance collaboration platform and runs decentralized blockchain media, providing data-driven business consultings for big enterprises with decentralized concept identity, which we'll talk a little bit more during our show. He also has educational and political background, working as voluntary staff at nonprofit organization in Japan, and he's also the president for the Tokyo chapter at the Government Blockchain Association. Kohei, such a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking time to be on our show.
Thank you. Yeah, great to have a time with you.
Thanks, Kohei. So, Kohei, you're from Tokyo, and I know you grew up in Japan. Tell us a little bit more about your childhood.
Yes, for me, my childhood is I was born in a local city in Japan. When I was in the childhood, the young times I spent with my families. I have one father and mother, so it's a very traditional Japanese styles. My father is working on full times. My mother is a housewife. Spend all the time with me, and when I was a kid, child. So my family is been very respect with my challenges, my choice. Even I was not able to anything from scratch myself, they are supporting with me, like taking educations, taking our support to go outside to making the challenges. It was one of the inspiration what I can do anything that I want, even these times. So I'm very appreciated to my families, the surrounds, the grows up with me together.
That's great. It's always inspiring to hear how parents, especially Asian parents, given I share your background, inspire us to be the best and always believe that you can do anything that you aspire. So thank you for sharing that experience. Now, I know you're an expert in blockchain, so let me dive deeply into it. To our listeners out here, can you explain what blockchain is in simple terms?
Sure. The blockchain has the many aspects like a technical, business, or the politics, or many things. From my insight, it's coming from the business perspective. I'm a believer of the blockchain is one of the potential technical infrastructures to architect of decentralized mechanism. It helps to trust makers in each other without any specific third-party trust authority. This is a kind of the new challenge with us, but I'm sure that this technology has to make it more transparencies or individual focus manners to realize anything that you want.
Thank you. So if I may ask, what's the use of blockchain? So where can we use it in our daily lives?
Yes, in the daily life, I think it takes many times because this is the very fundamental technologies. So it's a kind of the infrastructures. Actually, we don't care about the blockchain technology in the futures. Once you imagine that you use to provide your data to any specific parties, like you log in any services to the Amazon or Facebook to Google, the login services is collecting the data. Sometimes it's not without the consent.
Mm-hmm.
But in the blockchain is the assistance of your data controlling without any third-party abusement. So that's why I think the blockchain is a keyword to taking actions through these processes.
So when information is being transmitted across different parties, blockchain is the technology that helps transmit the data in a secure way. Is that how we would see what blockchain is?
Yes, it is one aspect of the blockchain. However, it's not just only for the blockchain, but the blockchain is the infrastructures to make sure that these kind of the processing. So without any decentralized models, we have to rely on the specific targets, such as like big trustees. Facebook, the Google has the trusted parties. We need to rely on that. But in that cases, we need to provide too much of the data for them. They're based on their like ruling party. So we have to consider the once you want to control your data, you need to another way. The blockchain is the one of the options for them.
Got it. How do you think blockchain is helping the society? What impact are you seeing?
Yes, the helping society is a very big word, but I'm personally focusing on the data privacy or data sovereignty. This is a key part of the human rights. So sometimes we are disclosing a lot of the data from your past history, the tracing without any consent. This is not healthy. In case you can control yourself, it's more the better data society in the future, I believe. So this is the great part from the societies for the data business in the futures.
So that's good to know. How do you get the real value? How do you get the real value of blockchain? Do you think we have tapped the potential of blockchain, or is there more that we can do?
I think the blockchain is just a system, or is a kind of the processing. The problem is the barrier is that you need to create it yourself. But the blockchain will support the once you can produce yourself, not just rely on the parties. It's just a kind of the works so well. But do you want to create a new barriers with rely on the specific parties? It could be better to choose the traditional parties such as like the TCP/IP or any protocol. Of course, we have many choice, but the blockchain is alternative, as you can imagine, any wars.
So I'm interested in knowing about the decentralization concept that you spoke about with blockchain. Tell us a little bit more about the decentralized concept identity.
Sure. It's just the kind of like it's not centralized identity. The centralized means you need to rely on the specific trust, like any IDP, which is a kind of the Facebook, the Google is the identity providers.
Mm-hmm.
You will be logging, you will sign up these accounts. It's just kind of the credit of yourself. Once you have these login account, you can go to the services based on these software development kits or anything. But the decentralized base is a different approach. You will control yourself, these identity, and also you can provide yourself. You are the authenticated on the network. So this is the basic concept, but they need to more focusing on the complexity architectures once you will be achieve this kind of things, because once you rely on the specific parties like Facebook, the Googles, they can support your trust. But once you promise your trust yourself, you need to be more strengthened. Like you get more data, you get more certificate, the control on your database. Unless you have these kind of the amounts, you cannot guarantee you are the like real person, that you are the trusted persons. So yeah, this is the just one alternative that you can use in some cases, not rely on the specific parties.
Yeah, that's a good point because having all these different service providers, right? You don't really know with whom
Mm.
you're trusting your valuable data. And that brings me to one of my next questions, which is as the founder of Privacy by Design Lab, tell us a little bit about, as a day to day consumer, what should I know about data privacy and what steps can I take to protect my data?
Yeah, that's good questions. Protecting your data is also the very case by case. Uh, Please imagine that you give a lot of the information to the Amazon. That once you buy anything, you just log in your accounts. They also you provided the credit cards, logistic, address, the anything you can get the shipping from them. But the problem is these company is knowing about you without your consent, such as like what did you buy before, the what did you see before, not just only for the books, but also the many purchasing the other things. They try to go to the real world just to check in through the cameras, through your registries, the anything. In that cases, you are not allowed to these companies the audio data, right? Your purchase data is good because you can purchase it again or subscriptions. These are very useful. But in the case like you are watched on your cameras when you are walking on the streets without a consent, in that case, it's been a surveillance. So the protection is depends on your thoughts, your territories, whether you can give a permission to these data controls or not. But I think too much data control, it's been one of the vulnerabilities to your data ownership.
Got it. So, in this age of COVID, how do you think people are looking at blockchain? Uh, do you have any insights? Because a lot of, okay, I'm going to say that again. So, going back to blockchain, how are you seeing the adoption of blockchain in Asia versus USA? Do you have any insights that you can share?
Yes, in Asian country has a different aspects. In particular, in China is the fastest the blockchain adopters, but it's not free decentralized. It's just a kind of decentralized based. The government is invested a lot of the monies, the funds there. The local cities also the raise it themselves, such as like smart cities that based on the decentralized technologies. The South Korea is the forerunners to adapt these technologies with the corporated, the family companies such as the Samsung, LZ is working in together. Then in Singapore, it's not Eastern Asia, it's just Southeastern Asia is the one of the adapting blockchain technology into the finance. Uh, so we have a very different futures in the Asia market. The Japanese, we started from finance parts. However, we try to looking into the many other space, such as like a patent or tracking your properties. This part is the working on that, such as the gaming, such as like trading. These contents providers is a try to use of them. They also finance bank or securities is working a lot of things. But the difference is we are not working a lot on the supply chain management.
Mhm.
I think in other country like Southeastern Asia or US and Europe is working a lot in the supply chain management. However, from my perspective, which is very different from other countries.
Kohei, can you repeat the last sentence? I think your internet, it didn't get recorded.
Okay.
Just the last couple of lines.
Okay. From my perspective, the Japanese blockchain scene is different from the other Asian countries. We are not invested a lot of the supply chain management with the blockchain technologies. So this is the comes from the Japanese original features, the business cultures, the business structures of these supplying the services. So this is a very interesting point from my insight.
That's great. So the support of government and businesses to adopt blockchain is really crucial uh, for incorporating a new technology. And it's challenging because your entire supply chain has to be restructured to accommodate this technology as well. But I think there's a lot of value in incorporating blockchain because you can really understand the source of any product that you buy, be it an apple, right from the farm that the fruit is grown to all the way to the consumer's hands. If there's a pandemic, you can clearly identify the source of that infection or that crisis. So thank you for sharing that information. Um, did we ask this? Tell us about your work at Collaborate. Did you already talk about it?
Okay, the Collaborate is
Yeah, let me
working
just
on
ask you that
the
question properly. So tell us about your work at Collaborate.
Yes, I'm working on as a business development parts to support the Collaborate technologies, cooperate with the Japanese enterprises, especially they have a lot of customer accounts. They need to improve these account management. We are asking them to work on the new kind of digital identities to support the new experiences for the customer variations. This is the kind of my role to build up the relationship with Japanese corporation as well as the partnership relation in other parts of the elements. So these are basic my role in Collaborate at the times.
So you're also the president for the Tokyo chapter for the Government Blockchain Association. Tell us a little bit about your role.
Yes, the Government Blockchain Association is the non-profit based in Washington, D.C. We have a lot of the chapters, all the countries as well as some local states. They all working on the local community development. They also increase the membership to study about these technologies with the local government offices as well as some service providers or academics researchers. The Japanese chapter is taken in charge of community making in Japanese countries where they invited the speakers or networks to build up the relationship in each other as well as to support the essence of use case to replicate the similar things into the public sectors in Japan. I had organized some events to invite the public officers to spoke about their challenges in digital government, also related approach from the public sector. So this is the basic what I have done in Government Blockchain Association in Tokyo.
So I know you are an influencer. So I know you're an influencer on LinkedIn, where you post a lot of relevant information about blockchain and the latest trends in the field of digital transformation. What does a day look like for Kohei? What do you do?
Yeah, I've been working on the social media, especially blockchain, LinkedIn or Twitter so far, almost 5 years. So why I started this kind of the multiple social media operation is just to make a relationship in between the many peoples who works with a variety of the talented backgrounds, because I love to contact or just to start anything together to bridge each expertise to produce anything new. So that's why I'm working on to post the informations, my insights. Sometimes I support to retweet it, any of my friends, they started their own projects or got interviews like this. My philosophy is I'm very love to talk like this, then the communications to explore it in each opportunity. So that's why I'm working on the social media a lot of times.
That's fantastic. And 5 years is a long term, but consistency is key, right? To develop a follower network over the long term. So, apart from social media strategy, what else do you do in a day typically from the moment you wake up? Tell us a little bit more about your routine.
Sure. I have two times to check my social accounts. Basically, I'm trying to have my collecting the users who is expertise in such space, such as like a privacy experts. I'm working on the ambassador there, so that's I'm collecting the list there, the people's, the accounts, the sharing information each other. So I reserve them a post through these networks. I'm a believer of fast contact information is a very primary. So that's why I'm talking like this, having a talks through them. Once they have shared any articles, I try to repost on the observations with my thoughts. So this is my routine works.
I know you also do yoga and meditation. Can you share something about that?
Yeah, I had started in the meditation because in COVID-19, Japan is also, we have to stay at the homes. In these cases, meanwhile, I'm trying to keep myself to consider my activities, whether this could be the beneficial to my surrounding or not. For that, I try to look into myself, how it works, the day to day, is it good or not, how I can whether I can give a good inspiration to my surroundings or not. So that I'm gonna try to keep my meditations every day. So that's why the meditation is a one way that I can do the things. Meanwhile.
Thank you. And that's a good ritual for all of us who are stuck at home with the COVID pandemic to really reflect, and meditation is helpful. So we have a fun rapid fire round for you, Kohei. Are you ready?
Sure.
So you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the following: role model.
Yeah, my role model is I had a sort of books in Japan. So we had many histories since we had seized the World War II. It's 1945. It was lose everything in Japan. We have to start from scratch. I was lucky to meet some of my my boss, the seniors, advised me Japan. We established everything from there. So I was given one book. He was a contributor to the development of the Japanese economy. His name is Mr. Doko. I was inspired his philosophy, his thoughts. He's not rich person. He's a very poverty. He just living with his wife, and he's a very like he's a very passion. He is a very great position, but he is not each person. He's just try to keep a minimum life. So his idea is to try to support our economy, not just himself. Even he sacrificed himself. His identity is to try to de-establish in the Japanese ecosystem. His book is a very great incentivized with me. That's why I'm learning a lot of the things from his histories.
And do you
So
remember
yeah,
the name? Do you remember the name of the book?
Mr. Doko, I will share some of his information if you contact me through the social media or anything.
Awesome. So here's a way to connect with Kohei. If you want to know the name of the book or more philosophies about his role model, connect with him on social media. Tokyo. Can you say some fun fact about Tokyo with our listeners?
Yes. Actually, I'm also a person coming from the other space into Tokyo. So I'm also the one of the strangers that was. But in Tokyo, I almost living here is 5 years. I feel here is a very great mixtures, the many things in one place. Like you can see some shrine and temples, you can feel the histories. The other sections, you can see the very establishments, such as the very big buildings or many portico decision things. The many things are coming to the very small cities. So you can see alone the many things in a day. This time is a COVID is the prevents to come from other countries, but I think I can strongly recommend it's very worthy to see alone, not just one day, just almost 10 days, the 1 week for your vacations.
It's nice to know Tokyo is a touristy place. And here's a fact about me. My mom loves Tokyo. It's a dream to visit Tokyo one day. So it's nice to know now that I know Kohei, who lives there.
Yeah, should be.
Thank you. So one last question for you. What is your native language? And in one word, can you describe yourself in your native language?
Yes, I love my one word. It's just in Japanese, it's a naseba naru. It's just if you can do anything, you can do that. This is a kind of my momentum once they made the challenges. So that's why I want to actually recommend to all the listeners. You can do the challenges. You can do anything. Of course, sometimes we missed my goals. I do a lot of the failures so far, but I could run through that. It's a very my asset and treasures. I never go back to like I never regretted what I have done before. So that's why I believe this words is my own good keywords.
Thank you. And that means a lot because everybody fears failures, but believing that you can do whatever you want, I think that's great philosophy. So keep up the great work, Kohei. How do you say thank you in Japanese? You can teach me today.
Sure. We say basically arigato.
Basically, arigato.
Yeah, and in Japanese, if you can say the arigato, these your surrounds become the happiest. So I personally paid attention. This word is the one of the magic words to get along with in each other. So I hope that we can say these words and spread in among the communities.
Arigato, Kohei. Thank you so much again for being on
Thank
Career
you.
Starter Podcast. You spoke about your childhood experiences and the fact that your parents inspired you to be the best and how you have shaped yourself as a data privacy expert, an expert in blockchain, but most important of all, how you're helping people by sharing information about the different data trends by being a social media influencer especially on LinkedIn and Twitter for the last few years. So keep up the great work. Arigato for everything that you're doing. And for the fun fact about meditating and how it's very important in our day-to-day life, and also the philosophy of your favorite role model, I'd be more interested in learning about that. Any final words to our listeners before we wrap up the show?
Sure. Thank you for listening the podcast. Also, the having a podcast talks this times. I can say that's even now is the very challenging situation to all of us. Of course, with me, but we hope that this kind of situation will be cleared. In the cases, we need to start the new things. So at this times, let's go to the next stage with our own collaboration, not just to be leave it alone. So I hope we can start any things through these opportunities.
Thank you for those wonderful parting thoughts. And I hope the listeners enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about Kohei outside of his social media work that he does and as a data privacy expert. Until another episode with another interesting guest, this is your host Priyanka Komala signing off from Career Startup Podcast. Arigato.